Okay. We are live, and thank you all for waiting. Really appreciate you all joining us. Got a special one for you today. We have Patrick Thornton joining us, and I'll let him give a proper intro of himself. But um, yeah, it's really great to be here with you, Patrick. I'm excited to kind of get back into the backstory of how this all came together, but um, just for everybody watching, we're going to be talking about storytelling today, and obviously we're in Gravity Sketch, and Patrick has been diving into Gravity Sketch in all sorts of different ways, and so we're going to have a look at that today. But I just want to remind everybody that if you have any questions for myself or for Patrick, feel free to just pop it in the chat there. I'll be able to see it within VR here, so I'll be able to see whenever you're sending us a message, and we'll try and get to it. And if it's okay with you, Patrick, maybe we answer some questions along the way, if someone is asking, if it's relevant, of course. And yeah, we'll just go about it that way. Um, so my name is Jaron Dorman, and I work here at Gravity Sketch, and I get to interact with incredible people like Patrick, and get a look into their work. And so um, we do these lives all the time. We do them several times a month. And so if there's anything that you like to see, let us know. But without further ado, Patrick, I'll let you just give a more proper introduction of yourself. If you could just tell everybody quickly who you are and what kind of work you've done, because I know you're in a transition phase. But yeah, just tell everybody who you are.
Okay, thank you. I'm Patrick Thornton. Uh, Predominantly work in the entertainment industry. I've got kind of a varied history of that. Um, oh, can you see my guardian barrier when I do
No, no,
that?
that's just you. Yeah, don't worry.
Okay.
Yeah.
Basically, I'm an artist. I don't really know how to answer the question of what I do because there's different titles. And if you say art director, that means one thing in the gaming industry, another thing in the advertising industry, and so on. But I've done a little bit of everything. And a friend of mine, Marcel, gave me a headset, said, "You got to try this." I found Gravity Sketch, I dug into it, and I love it. So I put together a portfolio. I wanted to just make a stage, just a wall, and hang some JPEGs of art on it. Uh, I reached out to Darren. We looked at the portfolio, and he liked it. And so here we are today. Uh, I built a little bit more than a wall because I wanted to create a little bit of atmosphere and put a little architecture into it, like you're walking in a room looking at things like an art show or whatever, like a pop-up art show in a hole in the wall with the exit door that you go in just for the vibe or whatever.
I'm
Kept
so
everything
excited.
in a black and white scale so that it didn't conflict with the colorful art on the wall, so that everything could be easily understood. Uh, there wasn't any conflicting interest points or anything like that. But what I did when you said you wanted to do this thing is I put a little extra something in here since we're talking about storytelling. And I'm going to turn that on right now and just let you go through it. And then we'll go through the story version or whatever, and then we can turn it on and off and look at whatever else is in there that you'd like, or just wing it from there. How's that sound?
I'm I'm so ready. I'm so excited for it. And I just for some context for everybody watching, Patrick reached out to me on Discord, and that's kind of how this whole thing got started. And we just jumped into VR just like this, and I was like, have to show this to a bunch more people. So thank you for your time today, Patrick, and I'm excited to dive in.
Thank you. I'm honored to be here, actually. Okay, here we go. I'll turn that on. This is what I added. Something's happened, Jaron. Oh no.
Oh my gosh. You are the prime suspect. Get in there, see what you can find. I'll distract as long as I can, but get caught, you're on your own. Man, all right, I'm ready for it. Wow,
That was
let's
a
look at
message
this.
for
Let's look at
you.
this here. I have to have a look at this sketch here. Oh man. Oh wow. Oh my gosh. That's incredible. Wow, just that's amazing.
These
For
high-tech cops have a hologram of you.
that for
Of
those of you
course,
that haven't seen my face before, this is my face that Patrick made in Gravity Sketch. That is crazy. Wow. That's
it's
really
caricaturized, and I've
impressive.
never met you in person, so I just had to go from a screenshot from a video.
That's pretty, man. I mean, for just working off of a picture, I mean, that's pretty accurate, Patrick. I got to say, that's pretty darn close. I mean, if not right on it, honestly. Maybe a bit, maybe even a little idealized, possibly. But I mean,
Well, everybody likes to look good, you
yeah, of
know.
course. Patrick, thank you. First of all, thank you so much for creating this. Second of all, I'm just so impressed. And
Thanks.
this is an echo of something that I've seen Patrick do in our previous meeting, and so I can't wait to maybe have a look at that at some point. I don't know if you kept that in this presentation or not, but yeah,
I did.
I
And speaking of story,
yeah.
this is the thing. You kick it off with something that grabs people.
Oh
And
my
I figured
gosh,
this would grab you. So
it did. This is impressive. Wow. So everybody watching, this is actually my face. Patrick made this in Gravity Sketch, and it's absolutely impressive. So wow, starting off strong. Okay, let's go. Let's
all
do
right,
it.
so this guy right here is your buddy. He gave you a message on a little hologram thingy behind the police officer here. Uh, so you're kind of in a bind, man.
Okay. Oh man, I better be careful then. I'm gonna be extra careful. Okay,
Yeah,
got my wits about
put
me.
your put your sleuth hat on, and you can see in here things have changed a little bit.
Wow, that's right. There's some broken glass. There was I don't remember what was there before, but actually, yeah, there was some artwork here, but looks like someone's broken in and stolen it, and a bunch of other storyboard stuff that was here before. Oh my gosh. Okay. And
Yeah, watch
this
your
is a new
feet.
character as well. Okay, I'll let you kind of guide.
Oh no, that's okay. I was just making a joke. Watch your feet because of all that glass. And
Yeah,
me being super anal, those pieces just about exactly fit the broken part right
are you
there.
kidding? That is incredible. Oh my
The
gosh.
way I the way I did it in Gravity Sketch, I just made one pane of glass, broke it up, and threw the pieces on the floor.
Wow. That is that is incredible attention to detail. And you know what? This is a testament, I think, to your career because I know you would attest to the truth of this is that attention to detail like this is what make movies compelling and make stories compelling is that these details that maybe aren't overtly obvious but are still there add to the realism. And so I love it.
Absolutely.
Wow.
Absolutely. Anything that can make it more immersive so you can feel it. Forget the rest of the world, just be in the story. That's what counts. And this is one of those things. Since
Okay.
there's been a break in, there's that. And then we got this little guy.
We got a new character here.
Yeah. He's a security guard, but I didn't have time to put anything on him that made that abundantly clear.
He's
Uh,
he's got some sort of wrap around him or some sort of field kind of like around him. Not sure what to make of it. This is interesting. Is he huh? And I remember we were playing with these cubes before too. That's something that you made here as well in Gravity Sketch. These cubes you can change this Hello Kitty face into all kinds of combinations.
Yeah, that was actually a gift I made for a relative, and she liked Hello Kitty and horror stuff. So I made these blocks that, uh, oh wait, this one, that you can move around. Uh-oh, they're not grouped because I just brought them in here. So the artwork doesn't come. See
That's
the
okay.
artwork sticking to the sides?
Yeah, that's all right
I had
though.
it where you could pick up the blocks and move them, but not this time.
No worries.
All right, so
Should I
this
keep walking through and trying to figure it out or
yeah, but you gotta take the stairs set up as if uh you're walking in an actual room. And here's
okay.
the next part.
Okay, we got a character here. Oh, it's you. You're being set up. They got the guard with a glue gun. He's hard as a rock. He's let's see. He's hard as a rock now, but send a pic of you doing this before he shut down. I think they want top secret info. The strong box is wide open and files are everywhere. Don't come any farther. I think the invader might still be here. Oh man, so this is a real strong warning we've got.
Yeah, maybe we shouldn't go up the stairs.
Hmm. Should I or shouldn't I?
I'm thinking maybe you should.
Okay. Curiosity
And
is
there's
killing me.
the strong box, and the files are everywhere.
Man,
Some of the artwork is gone.
who the heck would steal all this stuff? I even see, like, I love this detail, like shadow areas where there was some artwork here and now it's gone.
Yeah.
This is great.
Well, I did work on a handful of spy movies, so maybe they thought there was spy stuff in here, but uh-oh.
Okay. Let's find out what this message says. We've got Tom Cruise here. I'm on a different mission. Got to get to the Louvre ASAP. They've got you in the act. But my glasses recorded everything. To view a hollow projection, turn on layer X. Good luck. Oh man. Oh, okay. I got to turn this on. Okay. Layer X. Let's see here. Okay, shoot. All right.
There you go.
Wait a minute. I didn't see anything. Oh. Oh my gosh. So they're posing as me.
That's how they got you.
Oh my gosh, this is crazy. By the way, it's so impressive. The likeness is uncanny. So what are these little guys? They're messing everything up. They're framing me.
Yeah, they're setting you up for a big art heist, aren't they? And they made it look like you got a glue gun. And even actually, I'm backtracking. This is all unfinished stuff. You said you like looking at unfinished work, right?
Yeah,
So
yep.
that's what a lot of this is. And over here, back at the security guard, you know how they said they've got a picture of you dead to rights or whatever?
Yeah.
If I use this new section tool and look into the robot's
Oh,
head
no way. That
and
is
see
so
the
cool.
last thing he saw is you with a glue gun.
That is so cool. I can't even begin to explain how cool that is. Oh my gosh. So it was me, but it wasn't me. I swear it wasn't
That's
me.
right.
As you can see, it's the little green guys trying to pretend they're me.
Yeah.
What a great,
And
wow, what a cool use of this tool, too. Oh, man.
Tom Cruise knows a mask when he sees one, so he threw you a bone by giving this hologram projection of what really happened.
Wow. So,
And then the last,
okay, go
oh, go
ahead.
ahead.
Go ahead.
Oops, I'm still in cross-section tool. Oh well, we've seen it. The only other thing I see is up on the roof.
Oh. Wait a minute. Hey. Got more green guys. What the heck's going on here? Nice work, Jaren. Good luck convincing the cops aliens are behind the art heist. I swear on my life it was the aliens, but no one's going to believe me, apparently. Oh my gosh. Wow.
So there's your payoff. So
I love it.
I mentioned earlier at the front door, you want to hit somebody with a hook.
Yeah.
Like I've kind of boiled storytelling down in like its simplest terms.
Yeah.
Like Dan Harmon has a wheel of 8 as far as telling a story in the traditional manner. You meet the characters on a normal day, 1, and then 2, you give them a want or a need, and then 3, they go out seeking it. 4, they go through trial and error, research and development. They try, they win, they try, they fail, and eventually 5, they find what they're looking for, but they're way into the underworld and they've got to pay for it. That's number 6. That's like in Star Wars when you lose old Ben Kenobi or whatever, that's
right.
the cost. And then you got to get back home. That would be a chase scene in a lot of action movies or in a rom-com, that's where somebody's like, oh, they went to Italy and I'm in Australia or whatever. And then they get back home and they use the thing that they found, you know, to go back to Star Wars, Luke uses the Force and saves everybody on his side. And in a rom com, they meet at an airport, whatever. It finally figured everything out that they learned in the story. So that's how he boiled it down to like 8 steps. Um, but in advertising in today's fast-paced world, like TikTok and stuff like that, all that stuff's in there if you look for it, if you want to distill it down that way. But I kind of just look at it like 3 easy steps, like hook them, surprise them, and then give closure. So
Yeah.
at the door you saw there was an art heist. It's not the same room that there's glass on the floor. And then the surprise is, why is Tom Cruise hanging out in an air vent? Why is there a robot with hot glue all over him? All this kind of stuff, aliens. And then here it is, the aliens were behind it all the time. They weren't here to help you after all. And they're going to take off in their UFO.
Patrick, what a perfect encapsulation of storytelling. I hope everybody's taking notes because this is great. I'm going to be using this in some of my own work, I think, too. This is like what a great interactive way to take someone through the process there. But that's just fascinating. Wow. But that, and then when you're pointing those out, it's so true as well. Like I'm thinking of like I'm going through the reel of movies now in my brain that follow kind of basically the same pattern, and it's amazing.
That's your general storytelling stuff, but
Yeah.
obviously it translates to all kinds of things, and different people. It's not just the writer and the director that focus on this kind of stuff. Pretty much anybody on the crew is a storyteller in some fashion,
Right.
and designers are too, as you well know.
Hmm.
Like a car can tell a story. The way you design it, the way you lay it out tells how it can be used. It even says a little something about the person owning it, what they choose and what they want to use it for,
Right.
all kinds of things. Um, it's just a matter of paying attention to, I think of it as, my wife does improv, and they have a saying in improv that's follow the fun.
Yeah.
And I couldn't agree more. That really is it when you're working as an artist, uh, especially in regard to story or any kind of collaborative efforts. You're still bringing your part to the same story. A bunch of people are bringing themselves their way to tell one same story. That's how come storyboards are important. It gets everybody on the same page, all that kind of stuff. But like the costumer is a storyteller. They're they're gonna do the shoes just right for the character. Is she in super nice brand new high heels? Is she in some hiking boots? Is she in some Keds? Is she in some loafers? That's part of the storytelling. Torn up jacket, brand new jacket, no jacket, all that kind of stuff. It's the same with industrial design. Again, as you know, uh, you're trying to reach whoever you're trying to reach. You want to think about what what means anything to them,
Right.
you know. Uh,
It's
and
s- yeah, yeah, please. Go ahead.
go ahead. Well, I was just going to say that when you're working in collaborative things like that, whether gaming or whatever it is, you're kind of uh, it's as if whoever had the idea wishes they had the time and experience you do,
Mm,
to make it themselves because they have the vision. Whoever has the vision
right.
is kind of spearheading the attempt, and uh, when you're project like that, you're kind of working as their right hand. So I typically try to draw what or design what they want, what they would like in line with their vision,
Yeah.
because it tends to make their vision stronger, which makes
Oh
it
yeah.
better. It ends up being more pure, more potent instead of being off track or off base or whatever. You've
Well,
always
that's
heard about creative differences and this and that. That's the opposite. What
yes.
were you gonna say?
Well, I was going to say I think that's a perfect segue into looking at some of your work because that was something that I noticed when we chat originally was it's all so different um and so diverse, like in style, and the stories are so different, and you can really see the evidence of you trying to fulfill the vision of whichever project you were a part of, and putting yourself in the world of that story and helping that come to life. And I just, yeah, I can't wait to have a look at it.
Thanks. Yeah, my favorite thing, I don't think you ever saw this, is my sky hook right here,
Oh
holding
wow.
up the party lights.
Just a floating hook, yeah. No need to pay attention to that. Just believe that it makes sense.
Because in Gravity Sketch right now, we only have one light source to work with.
Right.
And when I was making this, that's why I was just going to make one wall full of artwork. But uh, I decided to make a bend for the just to make something interesting as you come through and see the artwork. And I really wanted, I'm new to sculpting people in VR, but I really wanted
I mean, you're
Mr.
really
Mr.
darn good
Cruz
at
here
it.
to
It's
look
crazy.
cool. I wanted him to look cool in the lighting, so I got the lighting where it looks good on his face,
Right.
and then
That
worked everything else from there.
I'm
And
still
that's
just
another thing
blown
about
away. Blown away. Sorry, Patrick, what were you
thanks.
saying?
Oh no, I was just gonna say that's another thing about doing creative work. You know, sometimes you have to stamp down what you know you need, like what's most important. So for me, since we can't do colorization on faces and stuff like that, I keep it kind of clean so he looks like an action figure, which registers better in our minds and doesn't tip into that uncanny valley
Right.
business. But at the same time, getting the right lighting angle and whatnot is kind of important to make this have the most impact. So once I got that set up, then everything else I built in the architecture of the room, which kind of tells a story as well. You know, I got a drafting table, a little bit of an art studio kind of vibe in here, but I
Right.
needed the light to be able to come in, and I had to pay attention to what the shadows were doing here and there so that they weren't too distracting
Right.
and
That's so
hiding things
true.
because it can change the
I've ran
colors.
into that myself with lighting stuff in Gravity Sketch because it's just one light source, and it's sometimes you have multiple just like in this situation, perfect example, you want to light things in a very specific way, and it's hard to do that with one light source. Hopefully one day we can implement more light sources in the tool, but I you worked around it amazingly, so it looks great.
Ah, thanks. Yeah, it's fun. Well, there is some bounce light and stuff like that. It's just not everything. You know, the headset can only manage so much.
It's
So
true. Yeah, that's really
there's
the
especially me
yeah,
working
biggest limitations we
standalone.
sorry. Go ahead.
No,
Well,
you're good.
I was just saying that the big those are the biggest limitations we come up against is the limitations of the hardware, in terms of being able to add more lights or some other features that are just more performance heavy. But I think as
Absolutely.
that gets better, as they come out with more headsets and everything, I think that'll all start to start to appear more and more. And but yeah,
Yeah, that's going to change rapidly, I'm sure.
absolutely.
Technology just gets easier and easier.
So, do you want to
Um,
kind of start like we did before, or do you kind of just want to hop around in terms of like
sure,
the different pieces of work? How are you feeling?
whatever you would like.
Okay.
It's all fine with me.
I mean,
I
I think I'd
there's
love
your
to.
totem pole of aliens holding a fake
I love the little
uh,
controller that they have too. That's hilarious. It gives me like
this hit.
it gives me a
Go ahead.
Men in Black kind of vibe.
I was about to say that. I did this, and then I remembered at the beginning of Men in Black, there's a character, an alien hiding with one of these. I was like, oh, that's where it came from, out of the subconscious.
That is, I love it, and very fond of Men in Black, so that makes me love it even more. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Yeah, that it's a fun movie.
If you don't
And
mind, I'd
this
love to
should
save this sketch if I could. It's just amazing.
sure, yeah, yeah. Uh, and then as far as like we were talking about the technological stuff, um, as far as efficiency goes, this jacket is the same jacket as is on the guy you first see at the front door that's giving
Oh,
you the tip off. All I did
interesting.
was reposition the sleeves a little bit to have them more loose, but and then I changed the color of this jacket so that it didn't
Wow.
register necessarily, but it's the same coat. As far as getting things done, that's another thing about working on jobs. You got to cut corners, not necessarily cut corners, but you want to be as streamlined as possible. If something can work twice and it plays and it doesn't register, then it works. Kind of the number one rule in film and TV is whatever plays for the camera, that's all that matters. You know, I've
Yeah,
built so many things that look like they work that don't really work, you know.
it's true. And that's something that you and I spoke a lot about last time about um if you can make the person believe that it works, you've done the job.
That's what matters. Yeah, because you feel it,
Yeah.
you know.
And
You believe Iron Man can fly like that. It's like, well, he's got some kind of special battery in that thing that powers all that. But
right.
once you accept that conceit, you're along for a fun ride or whatever.
Exactly. Well, why don't we kind of just start maybe at the quote unquote beginning,
Okay.
and you can give just some backstory, but as
Yeah.
we've already seen here, kind of fishing through the room, you've worked on a lot of different projects. Some of them are stuff for friends, some of them are productions, and I think it would be really cool to hear just some of the story behind, you know, getting on the project and kind of what you had to do for it. So obviously we're looking at Waking Life here, but yeah, go for it.
Waking Life was the first animated movie I worked on. And I did the holy moment scene, which is pretty much these two guys talking against this brick wall. And eventually, in the end, they turned to clouds. But this was a dream project because Richard Linklater, uh, he had a great idea. It was something different. It was unusual. It was about lucid dreaming, which is kind of what being in Gravity Sketch feels like, quite honestly, because I can just make whatever I want.
Right.
Uh, it's really fun to be in here like that. This is actually the first scene I ever animated. I liked there was a guy on a hanging off of a telephone pole. I liked his take on things in that movie. Um, so this
Wow.
was pretty much a dream job. Bob Sabiston is the guy behind the software. He created the software for the rotoscoping. So we filmed, or Rick and his crew filmed live action actors. That's Wiley Wiggins there. He's kind of the main character that takes you through the whole thing while people talk about their philosophical ideas about life and dreams and whatnot. But and then we got the footage and animated over it in post, which took a while. There's a big team of us, and we all kind of inspired each other. It was really really fun. And Rick was
Wow.
very loose. He was like, put your own artistic expression into the movie. Uh, he so every scene looks different. It's drawn by a different artist. Different takes on things. Like I said, I added this cloud stuff in just on my own, just like everybody else did in scenes and played around. It was a really fun project to be a part of. It was really impressive. And then that led to later on, which you'll see way around the corner, I've got some stuff from A Scanner Darkly,
Yeah.
which I was a little more involved in. On this one, I was hired as an animator. On Scanner, I was brought in earlier on to help establish the look of things. And Bob and Randy and Katie and Jen were key animators that were in from the beginning, helping design like the scramble suit effects and all these kinds of things that took a lot of head scratching. Bob's one of those guys that just creates the software and turns it into something like this. We're all sitting there next to him, so it was really fantastic because any little issues or needs or whatever, uh, he could implement, or you know make new things, make new tools in the software, like that scramble
Wow.
suit I mentioned in the Scanner Darkly. He had to make a whole different process once we defined a look for it, just
Yeah.
to speed the process up and everything. So as far as doing R&D with the software creator right next to you, you can't get any better than that.
Yeah. What an incredible, like, innovative project to be a part of. And, you know, because I think you mentioned this was like, this is also kind of a first of its kind in a way, stylistically as well,
As far
right?
as I know, yeah. Like there's other rotoscoped movies, rotoscopers. Uh, Ralph Bakshi comes to mind, which is funny because those little alien guys that I made up, for your little ride at the beginning is kind of a callback to a movie Ralph Bakshi did back in 1977 called Wizards. And there was a character that had a face kind of like that, where it was just a hood and some eyes.
Yeah.
So that's kind of my tip of the hat to that guy. Of course, it's a totally different story. It's a more adult theme or whatever. Um,
Wow.
but yeah, and then some of this artwork got stolen. That was see, do I still have the art info in here? Yeah. This one was a big family portrait for some people. There's a big Star Wars poster with them as the Star Wars characters, but I didn't know how they would feel about having their portrait
Yeah.
displayed. These were storyboards from a TV show I worked on, um, just to show storyboard process, but I'm not real sure about their rights. And then these are the gifts that I like to make for
Yeah.
people when the idea hits. Actually, this is a prop for a music video that Patricia Vaughn did, Marcel's brother or sister. Uh, she ended up directing the thing, but wanted to give me credit for it anyway, because she's super nice like that. And the UFO theme was in keeping with. I don't know if you noticed the first time you were in here, that UFO was up there.
I didn't.
Uh, yeah, from the get go, Tom Cruise hanging in there. He was hanging from a UFO uh,
I didn't
in
even
the
notice
beginning.
that. That's amazing.
I just used it. But yeah, these are like little gifts that I'll make from time to time when the
Yeah.
inspiration hits just right. It's all about kind of feeling things out.
Oh, yeah.
This one, I think we talked about this one. This was a first oil painting, which was from, it hit me. I had a friend that really loved Magnum PI, the
Yeah.
TV show. I'm cleaning the house one day and the TV's on, old TV, and one of those episodes was on, and he was standing by that painting. I was like, I got it. I'll recreate that painting in his room and give that to my friend for his birthday. And it turned into a super deep dive. I didn't even know how big to make it, so I made a 3D room to figure out the size. And I was just going to print it out, but I couldn't find anything worth printing out unless I drew it myself. And if I'm going to draw it myself, I might as well paint it. And if I'm going to paint it, I might as well do it in oils. And then I have to build the frame and all this kind of stuff. So you really got a kick out of that. And I did too, because I got to do a deep dive into Gauguin's work, and figure out how to paint like Gauguin just to make this prop recreation. Uh, so
Wow.
that's what I get out of it. I get to make the stuff,
Yeah.
and get
Wow.
the experience.
Yeah, it's incredible. And I mean, the fact that you built like a 3D room to figure out the size of it, that's what a crazy detail.
It was
Wow.
the easiest way. I couldn't think of. I had no idea how big to make the thing,
I mean, that's
and it's.
probably
I
the
don't know.
the way to do it. Yeah. Wow.
You had said you
Incredible.
had done a little bit of painting.
I've done some
Did,
oil painting myself. I've not in a while, but when you and I spoke about it and talked about this painting, it kind of got me thinking it'd be fun to get back into some oil painting again. It's just the whole thing of getting all the materials and everything. Like, I don't have a ton of space at the moment, and so I'm like, I don't know, should I or I don't know, but it's something I do miss.
yeah, it's
Yeah,
definitely the commitment, especially when you pay for all the goods and everything. That's just your standard site uh, map or
yeah.
whatever from a long time ago. I don't think that apartment complex is even owned by the same people or called that anymore. But that was fun going into the strict architectural side of things and plotting every parking spot, every tree, uh,
Was this amid to
keeping
your
it
film
right.
projects as well, or was this prior or
Yeah,
after or?
in the movie business, you're on projects and then you're off projects. You're constantly being hired and fired and hired and fired because the company only lasts as long as the project takes for it to be done. So sometimes there can be some downtime. And then a friend asked for that, and I said, okay, I'll do that. Um, and that's all there is to say about that.
Yeah,
I had fun making this eye scanner. I got to say, hats off to you for recognizing this portion of it because it's from the first Blade Runner movie.
yeah.
Essentially, it's not exact, but just did
It
that for the fun of it.
yeah.
So it actually could fold up and fit down in here, and the lid could shut.
I know. I love
And
that detail. That's great. Yeah, that's the fact that this thing actually theoretically, if you added pivot points and everything, could fold and actually fit. Again, it's that extra bit of detail, that really adds to it.
well, sometimes those kinds of limitations can unlock things you wouldn't have thought of otherwise. Like
Yeah,
it has to hinge here, but I don't want it to hinge here. Well, it has to figure it out.
yeah,
So it's a little more head scratching, but sometimes it can create something really, really interesting. I don't think necessarily that's what's going on here, but
yeah,
a lot of times it can really unlock avenues that you wouldn't have thought of otherwise by having some kind of. In fact, that's what this movie's all about. The five obstructions. We animated a flat black. Bob Sabston's animation company animated a scene from the five obstructions, and that whole movie is about that. These two directors are challenging one another in the obstructions they give each other. One of the directors did not like to work with animation, so now here's your new challenge: make a short, and it has to be animated. So
wow,
he got in touch with Bob, and we animated. This is one of the stills from the portion that I contributed to the animation in that movie. But that's the thing. Sometimes having those creative limitations can really create something newer and more interesting than if you just have a go at it all your own and have whatever you want. Another approach I use is even in making this I can't actually take credit for this whole exhibit because one of the things I do, my wife is kind of my art director in a sense.
hmm,
Whenever I make something, I call her in and I say, all right, take a look at this and tell me what you think. Tell me what's working. Tell me what's not working. And she goes through and she's like, oh, I don't really like that, or I really do like that. And she's not brutal, but she's completely honest and is very helpful. And a lot of times we get to talking about whatever we're doing and a third idea crops up and it's better than either one of us could have thought of on our own. So even though
wow,
her taste
yeah,
isn't exactly like mine, it's fun to work with her
yeah.
because it unlocks and stretches things that I couldn't stretch or unlock on my own. Most of the jokes that are the best jokes are all from her anyway, you know?
Creative partner, I love it. Yeah,
Yeah. But that's how it goes with anybody, you know?
right. Yeah,
Um,
it's so true.
and these comic book covers, coming back to the theme of this video, this middle one here, these are for a friend of mine and his family, his kids. But this center one right here, what I really concentrated on was coming up with ideas that fold together all into one story on one page, basically. It's just a teenager having a nightmare about theater, and even Stephen King shows up not wearing pants and he's all grumpy and everything now, in a nightmare. And your parents on the stage before the show and dad's got his shirt off, whatever, it creates a whole story's worth. Like I could have made a whole comic book out of these scenarios.
That's great. Wow.
Part of the trick is coming up with a composition to show it all. Another element is trying to communicate things clean and simple. Like even that little run through I gave you earlier with the art heist and you're the suspect. I've got like 5 pages of notes while I was brainstorming on that. When we talked last, you mentioned heist movies. So that I went with that. I was like, oh, what if it's an art heist? And that's why some of the art's missing, like down here and whatnot.
That's so
Uh,
perfect. Wow.
it's fun. This is a good friend. He gave us some bread during the ice apocalypse, so I made him a Winter Soldier comic book cover or whatever.
Wow. That's so cool. Wow.
Up here, I was telling a friend of mine he got a new motorcycle, and so I drew this picture of him, put bicycle wheels on it.
I bet
This
I
was
bet he
actually
loves
one of the
this.
he liked it. He liked it. Well, it's fun to give somebody something they cannot go get themselves,
Yeah,
and it's one of a kind. There's not another one in the world, and every once in a while, it's nice to just lighten somebody's load with
absolutely.
um, something kind of special, like, oh wow, that's cool, thanks, because life can really kick you in the teeth sometimes.
It
But
doesn't hurt to
this stuff
bring some joy to
compensates.
people, through art and and yeah, love and care for people. It just never hurts. It's always a good thing.
No, no, it kind of balances everything out.
Absolutely.
This was the first figure I sculpted in VR. I don't have it in here because it makes the file too big. But that was a blast, putting the shoelaces on him and everything, and doing the bike. And then I ran into this was the first one where I ran into the hard wall of file size because I started sculpting every link motorcycle chain and the bolts on the engine and whatnot, and it just went laggy. That was back when I had the Quest 2.
Wow.
Uh, but it was fun, and that got me hooked on the figure, creating figures in here. And then in here, I just wanted to make sure I wanted to try doing somebody recognizable and see if I pulled it off or not. And of
Yes.
course, I couldn't resist going into the details.
I know
I even I
it
even put
blows me
his
away every
knock
time I
list
look
in
at
his
it. Oh yeah, yeah. Describe this.
in the movie. He's going through this vent full of lasers and stuff to get this little knock list. So I had to put it in his pouch, like he already got that, and just for the fun of it. I just thought it would be hilarious to turn the corner and be like, "What is that guy doing here?"
Yes.
As a
No,
as a surprise.
it caught me completely by surprise. Like the first time I had gone through this, and I was like, wait a minute, what? Because you didn't say a word, and I was like, what's going? And I was just like baffled, and and the fact that it's for everybody watching, this was made in Gravity Sketch. Like this, like polygons for polygon. This is Tom Cruise face made in Gravity Sketch, and it looks like Tom Cruise, and I'm just absolutely blown away by it. But all the
Yeah,
other details, like the knock list, you got the headset here. I mean, just impressive, attention to detail. Um, and then there was something, just everything, like even like what is this? This is like the decibel, level, right? Like this
oh
is like,
yeah, that's right.
yeah.
Yeah, because he had to be quiet when he was down in that room, and
Right.
if this went too high, he was toast. His
Wow.
alarm would go off. The other fun thing about this is it's like a Macy's Day float. Like when you poke your
It
head in,
is.
it's just hollow. It's so crazy, especially working in the living room
Oh my gosh, yeah.
in pass through, and you can see
Wow.
the back of his eyeballs and
Yeah.
mouth and stuff. You can even push yourself forward and see what it's like to look through those glasses, you know. But also just working on this in the living room with pass through, just having Ethan Hunt just hanging in the middle of the living room was hilarious. There was a
Yeah.
couple of days where we would just laugh out loud doing this, but that's following the fun, and that's putting the surprise in the story of, hey, I
Yeah.
want to show you this wall of JPEGs, and then you notice some fingers and some eyes in a vent, and surprise, there's something 3D because, you know, if I'm doing a portfolio in 3D, there better be something more than just 2D JPEGs to look at if you really want to go all the way with it.
So, who else would you wanna make in Gravity Sketch? Do you have any in mind or any things that you're itching to try to create or, like, people?
You were you were it. You were the pinnacle. I've reached the mountaintop. I can stop now.
Yeah,
No.
yeah. Of course, of course.
um, I don't know. I don't really think like that. In
Okay.
fact, I'm not a huge fan of all of this stuff. I like it just the same, but it's really about just what hits at what time.
Yeah.
You know, is that a
Just
good idea?
following
Yes.
inspiration.
Oh, that would be fun right now. Let's do it. You know,
Yeah.
yeah, it's all inspiration. I don't really have a list.
That's a
I guess you think.
freeing way to work too, right? It's like you're not too worried about it. Your mind's not future thinking because sometimes that can be it could be too like it can weigh down on you if you're just
It can be
focused
very
on
daunting.
yeah, if you can just focus on the now and what is inspiring you in the moment, like
Yeah,
that's the that's
that's
the fun.
one of the philosophies is like whenever I would get worked up and over anxious, full of anxiety, stressed out, I realized that my head was either in the past, missing something or regretting something or wishing something had gone a different way, or my head was in the future, like, oh no, I'm never going to be able to XYZ, or I'm not
Yeah.
going to survive this, or this is going to go bad, dread. Uh, and I would center myself, just all I have to take care of is right now. Right now, I'm
Yeah.
talking to Jaren about this stuff. That's all I have to get right. That's really all I can control right
Mm,
now. And so that's the same thing about following the inspiration about what to work on when I'm on my own. Now I've
yeah.
got my own side projects and stuff like I've got a big project I've been working on for years, but I've never come out of the house with it or anything just
Right.
because of what I've learned over the years. And, you know, everybody's got kind of a thing they wish they could do or that they
Right.
work on as a hobby or whatever. But yeah,
Yeah.
it's about being in the now, but you do still have to be forward thinking.
Of course.
I kind
Yeah.
of look at I kind of have I look at us artists as uh, we kind of just dive into the void and pull
Mm,
the imaginary into the reality.
yeah.
I mean, that sounds kind of super philosophical or whatever, but that's kind of
It's
how it
I
feels, you
think it's
know.
true, yeah.
And you need a little bit of joy to breathe while you're deep diving in there. If you're just full of dread, you can't really be creative, you know.
Yeah.
There's especially like deadlines. We all know deadlines, and one of the things I know I can be frustrating sometimes because it can be like we've got a deadline. It's got to be done right now. Why aren't you working? Why do you look like you're just relaxing and watching TV or playing with this stuff or whatever? It's like I got to find the fun real hard right now. I got
Yeah.
to relax. I got to find the fun in order for this to be a success. And then, boom, you pull the trigger as soon as you find it and hit that deadline, kind of a thing. But it can be backwards.
Yeah.
The instead of when stress is mounting, you got to be able to get calm. It's scary to let go and relax when everything is super stressful, but that's kind of the best way to get the best results.
You definitely that's such a great piece of advice, and for everyone listening or watching the recording, I mean, that's something I'm taking home, just what you're saying right now, because I think it would help a lot of designers, a lot of creators, whatever industry you're in. Um, I think to heed that advice. I think it would get rid of a lot of anxiety, maybe.
Yeah. Now you don't have to. You can't forget about the stresses of real life, like the
Right.
deadline or anything completely, because then you're just swimming in your own imagination and sanity. You
Yeah.
still have to have that tether to the reality of things. I'm acutely aware of the clock and what time it is,
Yeah.
uh, but I'm not gonna take that on and wear it right now. I've got to
Right.
relax and do this job right. Creative work is kind of special that way. You have to
Yeah.
get in that flow.
Yeah. Absolutely.
It's fun
Um,
though.
yeah. No, absolutely, it is. Um, Sweet. Well, we've got. Do we want to look at Scanner?
Sure. Or there's
Oh
my
yeah.
buddy I did as a G.I. Joe figure. That was a funny story. I was working on this as a surprise for him. And I had been working, and I wanted to do the back of it accurate, and I didn't realize how much work I had signed myself up for, so it was taking a long. I went to hang out with him, and he was like, "Hey man, I got to make a profile for work. I was wondering if you could draw me up one of those ID cards on the back of a GI Joe character or whatever." And I was like, "What? Are you kidding me? You got to come to my house right now." And he was like, "Okay." And then I thought it would be cool. I had the computer set up. I had been working on this artwork, so I knew it was on the screen of my computer. It's just the computer was sleeping, it was just screensaver. So I'm
Right.
sitting at my desk. I know the monitor's behind me, and I was like, check this out. And I reached back and I hit a key without looking back, just so I can watch his face when he sees what I'm working on. And he goes, "What, your desktop?" And I looked, and oh, the file wasn't there. I was like, "Oh
uh.
well, my cool reveal is ruined." No, this. But he
That's
enjoyed it.
that's funny. Yeah, and something I mentioned last time when I saw this was I didn't realize that this wasn't like a picture of like a package of packaging that it's actually been drawn out. Like you can see these reflections of the plastic enclosure is like that was painted on by you. Like it's
It's all
actually
in
all painted.
Illustrator.
It's crazy.
It's actually all solid color. It's all Illustrator. There's not any shading or anything. Just different colors, solid
Yeah,
shapes.
vector. This is vector artwork,
Yeah,
right? Yeah, it's
yeah.
wild. Yeah, by the
It's fun.
way,
It's cleaner.
crazy vector skills here. I don't think I've quite seen vector skills like this. Like this is next level for sure.
Well, I
Wow.
got to thank Bob Savistone for that, because working for years doing the rotoscoping where you're tracing people with vector line,
Right.
that's a lot of practice at 24 frames a second.
Oh yeah.
You get to thinking about every stroke and how two colors right next to one another can create the impression of a third color in the viewer's mind
Right.
that isn't really there. You studied all this kind of stuff.
Well, that's even like that's how LEDs work, right? Like it's
Yeah,
it's
GB.
yeah, yeah, essentially the same thing. Let me double check something really quickly.
Oh, and questions.
I also just want to make sure I have enough battery power here actually.
Oh yeah, right on.
Yeah, I hope it doesn't kill on me soon. At the worst, I can hop off real quick, switch to another headset, and just jump back in. So maybe I should do that. Maybe I should just jump to that because what we can do is I can cut out the dead space after the live is over in YouTube.
Uh,
It'll do that. I just want to make sure it doesn't die in mid conversation. So
Absolutely.
maybe we do that. So why don't we just take a pause? Everybody watching, we're just going to take a quick pause. I'm going to switch
I
over
can I
to
can keep. I can keep talking while you switch over if you want.
Yeah, well, I'll have to disconnect this headset so they won't
I
even
see.
hear you. Yeah. So,
Let's do it.
yeah, let's do a quick pause and we'll be back in, let's say, 5 minutes.
Okay.
Okay, everybody, just wait patiently for us. Okay, I'm back. Can you hear me, Patrick? Patrick, can you hear me? All right. I'm actually joining you in Screen Collab, so I'm no longer in VR. I figured this would actually be a great way to briefly touch on Screen Collab actually as well and kind of show it off. But we can continue from here because what's cool is I can actually attach myself to your view and basically we can just see everything through your eyes. So imagine you're now the guide, and we're just going to see
Okay.
everything that you're looking at. But you can see my window here in front of you. Um, I'll attach my view. I'm just kind of flying around at the moment, but for everybody
Okay, go
watching,
for it.
Yeah, for everybody watching, real quick, I just want to mention this is Screen Collab. So this is our screen tool where you can actually join in collaboration sessions with other people without having to actually jump into VR, and um, and it's a really great way to make notes or make comments and things like this. So I just wanted to briefly mention that because I know that we don't maybe talk about it as much as we should, but um, if anybody has questions on that, happy to answer. But Patrick, let's continue forward with it. I'm just going to attach my view to your headset
Okay. The
and take it away.
screen the screen collab view is awesome for presenting to stakeholders in a project that don't actually have headsets or spend time in this world. They can follow along nicely. I think that's a great addition to y'all's software.
And that's exactly
Um,
why it was made too. Yeah.
this sticking with the topic of storytelling, I said it a couple of times about how at first I came in here and I wanted to make just a wall and put my art on it as a portfolio to show people as I move more toward the 3D side of things. And then sculpting the surprise in there turned it into a little bit of storytelling where, you know, you can start at this end and look at the artwork and then, oh, what's this? That's funny. And then finish and there it is. And then that turned into uh, putting a, a bend in the architecture and an entrance, which makes it even more of a story experience where you show up at this door and come through and take in the art, and as you step up in it's more of a like a personal art studio kind of space, whereas this is more like a show hall or whatever. All of that is just part of following the fun and creating a little bit of a ride for people. Storytelling is kind of just that, just creating a ride for people. um, Even the order of the artwork that I hung, I didn't try to go chronological or pile all of this stuff in one area and that stuff in another. I just kind of felt my way through it. Waking Life was a really good experience. It seemed like a good place to start. These gifts that I do for people on my off time for the fun of it is a big part of what I enjoy. And then all this movie stuff and everything is in here because after all it's a portfolio. It's freaky being on stage and trying to sell yourself and all that kind of stuff when you're doing that. I'm so used to just being the background unseen guy off camera. There's
Sure.
so many shows where I'm like 2 feet off camera pulling a door open or whatever, uh, or fumbling. You had talked about Spy Kids way back when. That was my first movie experience, and this sub was one of the first big things I designed on Spy Kids. 3D before all of this other stuff was in here. This is when I did him. I thought that was fun. Well, I need one other little sculpture here, so this is like the maquette that I sculpted on that movie, and
Wow.
that's the way it looked in the movie. And then this jet, I sculpted that jet actually out of foam on the movie set. It was designed by a guy named Alex Toder. He designed that jet, and I had the fun job of bringing it to life. Um, the brain, that was the big MacGuffin device in that movie that everybody was after. It was so fun. And then on Spy Kids 2, it was an even bigger sub that Toder also designed that it looked like a dragonfly. And this was my biggest accomplishment. I was on the sculpting team of that. There were several of us. Everybody was super talented. That's the fun thing about working like this, is meeting all the talented people, and everybody has a part. And my part in it was shaping out this interior. And the way it was done back then, we put a bunch of these giant blocks of foam together and just tunneled in from the back door. And there wasn't any super detailed blueprints or plans for the interior. So I just got to improvise and make it up as I went along, trying to think about camera position and stuff that would frame the kids out in interesting shots, creating something dynamic as they come through the back and come through this back door. That's an homage to Star Wars right there.
Yeah.
Blast doors that open in kind of a diamond shape and go down this tunnel and escape. Robert's creativity is great. He's a powerhouse. He uh, he just has tons of ideas and gets a team together and makes them happen. Uh, it's really impressive what he can accomplish. He's done quite a few really cool things. And then on the other side of the fence is Richard Linklater, who also a powerhouse, but very intellectual and very interested in very curious about the nuances and things, and he likes to let things flow organically and see where they go. Thus, the direction I was talking about in Waking Life, where he said, "All right, let these artists go," and that's also Bob Sabiston's take. I learned a lot working for Bob Sabiston because he's very good at letting people do what they do best. That's where I kind of really crystallized that knowledge of if you want a good creative team, uh, let everybody do what they do best and encourage it. That excitement that they have
Yeah.
will fuel those late hours when it gets longer, and every project always gets longer. Frustration is expected, it's always part of a project,
Yeah.
and you just got to stick it out. And if you're looking forward to the end result, um, that can get you through some of those hard nights once in a while. These are some of the scenes that I animated in this movie. These are some of the stills. This is actually the still I drew before we started animating that established the look of the movie in
Wow.
general. We had different artists with different hands and all that. These are scratchy concept pieces. This is one of the earliest ideas for the scramble suit. He's supposed to just kind of be a gray man that blends into the background. It's a Philip K. Dick story. It's very interesting. These are some of the concepts that didn't make it into the movie, but you know, you end up making way more than you can use and just picking what fits. Sometimes that's not even what's best in and of itself, but what fits in as a whole is what matters. All the way down to when we were shooting this, like I said, we shot this with live action, with actors on sets and everything, knowing that we were going to draw over everything. So none of the actual footage will be seen. It's all what's drawn by hand. But because traditional movie crews are very used to worrying about what can be shown, what can't be shown, everybody's kind of sensitive to those kinds of ideas. We went ahead and made designs. I designed all these labels for the props and stuff like that to be on set, even though if we had a recognizable soda sitting on a desk, the artist doesn't have to draw the label on it and it's fine. It doesn't end up in the movie. But a crew is conditioned to be uncomfortable with that. Uh-oh, we've got blah, 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 a sack of fast food in the shot. We need to get that out of there. We don't have the rights to use that. So I made up, we, or my part on the team was to make up a lot of these different menu items and labels and things that went into the movie. You get a can, put the label on it. There it is. It's a prop. Nobody has. It doesn't slow down production with questions like, "Do we have the rights for this and whatnot?"
I just love how
Um,
those like little brand pieces look, you know, they're recognizable, right? Because they're pulling in those those graphical elements that we're all familiar with, but just the little changes here and there, um, are
That's a
enough.
good way to put it. Yeah, yeah, you just hint at what we're used to seeing without actually making anything that infringes on anybody. And the legal department was very good about going through and seeing what was allowed and what wasn't. Oh, that bumped, draw another one. Okay. So there's a lot of extra work involved in that kind of a thing too.
Yeah.
Got the transformer up there. That was an old one. I had to draw that for a comic book, and I had never seen that character sitting down at that point. So I was like, oh, I know what I'll do. I'll have him relaxing, but still look like the strong leader that his character is supposed to be,
Yeah.
even though he's sitting down there. And then sometimes there's goofy stuff like this that I'll do just because it hits me just for the fun of it. This was a thank you card because I worked on there was a South by Southwest presentation of Oblivion, ironically, a Tom Cruise movie. So I put it here under this,
Yeah.
where they displayed the spaceships and the things. I was helping set that up. I did not work on Oblivion,
Okay.
um,
Wow.
but that would have been a fun movie to work on.
Oh yeah. Um. Oh yeah. What's this? What's that?
That was my little joke. Beware enemy agents from other movies. And then look up, and there's one back there. Some of the jokes are better than other jokes,
we've
but
we've got
as long as we're all laughing.
we've got a couple people saying beautiful work, great creativity. Kudos to your wife too. That's from Joan G. Um, so happy to see one of my childhood movies, how it's been made, and hearing the artist behind the team of prop design sounds very fun. People are
It,
loving it.
thank you. That's great. Yeah, it is fun. It's tedious. Part of what's fascinating about VR is when you're in a shop sculpting these giant things, your back aches, your feet ache. You
Yeah,
just did 14 hours. You get to sleep for 3 or 4 hours, have breakfast, and go back and do it again. You're smelly until the job's done, whether you shower or not. Chemicals, all this kind of stuff. In VR, we get to just clean up is as good as taking the headset off or just hitting the off button.
can you
And
touch?
also oh,
Go
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 ahead.
no no please. What were you gonna say?
Well, the flip side of that is working on the computer uh, is also a drain because I went from working in the shops like this. I did the concept art on Spy Kids and then got to go back and be a prop sculptor and help
Yeah,
with the fabrication, which was just a real treat for me first. But then I got into the animation, which was fantastic. I got to stay clean. But then I found out sitting at a computer for 10 hours a day, I started hunching, my back was hurting. It was kind of the same kind of problem. You do anything too much and it just gets to you. That's how come I always stand up when I'm doing the VR. At least I get to kind of stroll around and mosey around a little bit. Um,
yeah.
it's a little bit of best of both worlds.
It is in a way. It's physical, but not, um, the physical messiness that you get, which is what you were pretty much just saying. But yeah, um, but I remembered something you mentioned about the sub, from Spy Kids too. I just wanted to go back to that really quick because
Mhm.
um, you mentioned how that was a block of foam that you basically tunneled out, from the back, and I just thought that was incredible. I mean, I couldn't imagine, like, how long did that take?
I don't remember anymore. Weeks.
Yeah,
And I wasn't the only one on the job. Jeff Poss was one of the main guys on Spy Kids, and he had a lot of knowledge about making big things for museums and whatnot. And he had gotten into the movie business before me, so he trained me a lot. Very creative guy, very sweet guy. As far as sculpting the foam and doing the fiberglass, I had worked with fiberglass before, but not to that scale. So there
yeah,
was a team of us that stuck this thing together and tunneled out. And while I'm sculpting, you can see the blank wall right here
yeah,
of foam, just getting the shape, and then eventually it gets these uh, bezels and cutouts and things for windows
Yeah.
and whatnot that that end up in there. That was my part of the task, but there were many of us. You can imagine just the surface area on this thing
Oh yeah.
alone. So many people working on sanding. One guy was in charge of building the chairs. Another guy was building all of these levers and props. Steve Joyner, the prop master at the time, was electronics whiz, so he was making all the computers and blinking lights and all that kind of stuff that go into the walls to create the illusion. These doors opened up, all kinds of things. In fact, this whole hood opens up and a lunch table comes up out of that. I remember I was laying under the bottom of the sub that day and we were worried about it jamming when we pushed it up into the thing for the kids to
I remember
eat.
that moment. I actually remember that moment and remembering it's almost like one of those core memories for me. It's like I remember because they had like I think I don't know if it was McDonald's, but they had some like they had some like fast food or something that came out of it,
It
and I was
was.
like, that was like the best food ever, and it's just like this is like a core memory that stuck with me. But that's amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a fun day.
Yeah,
Also on shoots like that, it sounds fun and everything, but it actually kind of boring. Like if you visit a set
uh huh,
and try to stick around all day, you'll see how boring it can be because you get to make all this stuff and you got to be there at the ready to make it happen when it needs to happen. But really, the whole thing is about the actors having to go through what they go through to create a good performance. And you're going to stay
yeah,
there as long as you can to get the best performance out of them. And everybody's on hold, willfully hoping to support that performance for the story.
yeah,
And it can be long days. One day might be hard, but 4 months of it, you kind of develop a thick skin to that. Like hurry up and wait is kind of the feeling, and then inevitably something will come up that you didn't expect, and you have to be ready to take care of that. So you've got to have your tools and everything that's prepped, ready to go for anything because you just never know.
yeah,
Sometimes the hardest thing that you're going to do that's got a whole day slated for, bang, it's done. There it is. Wow. And then the simplest thing, like goes over there and eats a French fry, ends up taking half a day because there's this issue or whatever, or you just never know how it's
yeah.
going to go. You got to be ready for anything.
Wow, wow,
But
it
it's
can
all
be
to
all over the
serve the
place.
storytelling.
Yeah, we have a comment from Mr. Sticky Maker. Not really a question, but it says, "I'm very thrilled to see the movement of Gravity Sketch is picking up with professional artists like prop designers. I wish to see this community could connect in the near future and talk." I mean,
Agreed.
yeah, I agree with that as well. We hope to just build the community more and more, um, and uh, and connect more. And still amazed at that sculpture. It's incredible, Patrick.
Should I always look here when you're talking?
Yeah, right. Yeah, just pretend it's me. Yeah, but it's true. Like we're trying to build this community of creators, designers, artists alike, and encourage them to not only create their ideas, hopefully using GraviSketch or GraviSketch is helpful along the way. It doesn't have to be the end to end tool, but helpful along the way at least, um, and then hopefully there's some connection happening in between there, right? There's people joining in together to work out ideas together, and we're focusing a lot on storytelling today. As you saw earlier, you had Patrick was taking us through this little story at the beginning of the exhibit, and it's things like that hope we can create more magical moments like that, um, virtually, because in our world is so spread out, right? Um, but we're pretty much at time for today. But I just want to sincerely thank you, Patrick, for your time and just diving in through your work and giving us a glimpse into the various projects that you've been a part of. Obviously, you have a wide breadth of ability, skill, and mediums, and it's just been really impressive to watch. There's a lot of like comments on here saying, "Wow, looks good, incredible, beautiful work." Um, Jonathan Mitchell says, "Lots of time and love put into this. Good job." So people are loving it.
That's what it's about.
Yeah, and I just want to say thank you. I really appreciate your time and diving in and for creating this very engaging experience. And I hope that anybody watching this comes away feeling a bit more inspired to tell their own stories, and think of how they can create an emotional connection with someone through storytelling, through a design, through whatever you're trying to express to the world. So thank you, Patrick.
Thank you, Jaron. It's a real honor to be in here. And this software that you guys have created is really amazing. Like I said, it's like lucid dreaming. You can kind of create these kinds of worlds and get to walk around in them. It's fantastic. Getting to feel things in 3D, whereas before you would have to sculpt it in 2D and imagine and hope it feels right. It's fantastic. You guys, everybody that works at your place is doing a fantastic job, and I'm honored to get to uh, experience what you guys do and use it. That's what it's all about.
Absolutely.
I
Yeah.
don't know what else I should say. I guess
No, you're
Sonic
good.
Noodle. That Sonic Noodle is what I go by on Discord. I think I have a LinkedIn page, Patrick Thornton Artist. I think gets me there, but I haven't looked at that page in so many years. I need to go in and touch it up so I can actually use it.
I actually
Uh,
I put your IMDb on the description. If anybody wanted to have a
oh,
look.
really? Oh,
But
that's got
yeah.
like half of what I've done on it. IMDb doesn't always put all of your credits. The movie business in general, half the projects I've done, I go uncredited for. Um, that's just kind of how the ball bounces. I haven't
Wow.
been to IMDb in forever,
Wow.
but cool. Thank you.
Well, if anybody, yeah, if you mentioned Discord, if you want to reach out to Patrick there, I can, if you're okay with it, Patrick, I can link your Discord in the description if anybody wants to ask you any more deep questions. Um,
Sure.
and
I'm not
we'll
real
put
good
that
at
there.
getting back and checking that all the time, but absolutely, I would like to be there for that.
Sure. Um, Jeffrey Thrasher said amazing and insightful session. Jeff Thrasher is actually works for us at Gravity Sketch, and he's an incredible designer himself. So great to see you, Jeff. I'm glad you were able to watch. Jeff's working in apparel. He's got many years of experience at apparel, and he's done some amazing stuff. I actually think that you'd really think some of the stuff he's done is really cool, Patrick. Just because like you, I think he just dives deep into the detail, creating just like amazing garments in Gravity Sketch. But oh yeah,
Actually, I've seen. Has he been on your videos?
yeah, he was, and I'm thinking we should do something again, just because I think there's so much more to dive into with
I was
apparel.
thinking of him as I was doing this overcoat here.
Oh no
It's
way!
much, yeah, it's very much the same technique that he's talking about in the videos, where you have to worry about how the cloth folds. Of course, I didn't have time to make it super accurate.
Oh, that's
Um,
awesome.
I just sounded like Doc Brown. Please excuse the crudity of this model. I didn't have time to
Oh
make it to
man,
scale or
that's
paint it.
amazing.
I just remembered way back here was one other thing
Oh yeah.
that I snuck in way back here at the end of the room. If you go around the wall,
What's
I don't
this?
even know why I put this here, but I thought it was fun.
Time and space shaped by gravity. Sketch.
Sketch
Nice. I love that.
for the
Nice detail.
science nerds of us out there.
That's great. No, really, I really thank you for your time today, Patrick. It's been an amazing journey, and I think we really had a real great experience of storytelling today, and maybe even just a bit of a better idea of how to approach storytelling. So, thank you for taking us through that, and thank you everybody that watched as well. Um, if you guys out there watching have any ideas of things you'd like us to do for these uh, Gravity Lives in the future, just leave a comment, and we'd love to hear it. Um, and thank you all so much. Thank you, Patrick. And we'll be signing off, but stay tuned for the next one. Bye now. Okay. It's over.
All